like an agreement, there was always something that was cooking on the side of the government that abrogated what seemed like an agreement relating to this particular matter. It's more a matter of hubris than anything else, but the family has always been willing to engage until there was a problem with trust being broken at any given point. But nonetheless, we're here now, and the very basis on which the Zambian government took the matter to court in the High Court, based on the former President's Benefits Act, they have since abandoned that particular argument here in the Supreme Court of Appeal, leaving it to an issue of an agreement, and everybody knows what the status of that agreement is as far as the family is concerned, and how that every time the family made particular proposals, there was always a change on the part of the government as to what they prefer to happen. And the matter that they brought to court is that they are, as a matter of right, entitled to bury the former president to the exclusion of the family. That's the judgment that we sought to set aside.
Is the position still that the current president shouldn't preside over the funeral, or are you completely out of that discussion? I think that is the clarity that the Supreme Court of Appeal was trying to seek from counsel today.
Well, the matter that is before court has got nothing to do with the current status of the family, but what transpired in the High Court. Whether the precedent that the High Court sought to set is a proper precedent in law, and we seek the interpretation of the law so that the death of the former president does not constitute what would be a bad precedent that excludes the rights of the family. So the family is here to assert its rights, and upon those rights being asserted, maybe, just maybe, we may be in a position to engage with the government so that an appropriate manner of setting or putting to rest the former president is agreed on.
And just lastly, we have to wrap, Mr. Kabesha. What is the position of the current president with respect to his participation in this particular funeral?
Well, where we have reached now, we can only leave it to the court. Whatever the court will decide, the government will follow what the court will say. It's not about who will be attending or who will be participating, but definitely will follow what the court will decide.
All right, thank you very much, Attorney General Malila Kabesha, and of course the family spokesperson Makebi Zulu, giving us their positions on this long protracted battle into
Good afternoon and welcome to Conversations at 1 now. My name is Seid Nkhonjera, and today we begin this conversation with a development that has, sent shockwaves from the corridors of South Africa straight to the heart of Lusaka. It is a story about the intersection of state power, geopolitical protocol, and the role unyielding right of a family to say goodbye to their patriarch on their own terms. For over a year, the mortal remains of Zambia's 6th president, the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, have been at the center of an unprecedented legal tug of war. Now, the Zambian government demanded a state burial at Embassy Park, citing protocol and national honor. The family, led by the former First Lady Esther Lungu, fiercely resisted, claiming it was the late president's dying wish, that the current administration play no role in his final journey. Well, just hours ago, the South African Supreme Court of Appeal delivered its definitive verdict. They've overturned the 2025 High Court decision. They have sided with the family. In the words of Justice R.M. Keatley, the Zambian government's failure to establish a legal right to override the family's wishes is, quote, fatal to its case. The state has lost, the family has won, and the government has been slapped with costs. Alfred, my co-host, is in the studio with me. Alfred, this is a massive story, and this is, a monumental shift. What is your immediate take on this land bank ruling? I know I've said the family here has won, the government has lost, in as much as they both have been saying there's no winner, there's no loser, but this is what the court has said. Well, I think looking at also the topic of conversation that we've set today is looking at whether government is going to respect, the courts. And, the video that we did play just before we started, Mr. Mulilo Kavisha, the State Council actually did mention that we're going to respect, the courts. So we're here to see if, government will take a step of appealing the case, or maybe we'll go with the way it has been ruled as of today. So we still wait and see how it's going to unfold. But just on that, looking at this, judgment, it is a masterclass in its, case, and that's in the right of protection of dignity, privacy, as well as family autonomy. And the Supreme Court of Appeal made it clear that the state does not own a man's body, even if that man was a former head of state. And the court found that the conversations between the government and that of the family were just negotiations, not a binding contract. And crucially, the government failed to prove that Zambian customs give them the right to override the next of kin said.
Yes, and to give context, to this conversation, what the Supreme Court of Appeal has said is that the family consistently said that the former president did not want the involvement of, the Zambian government or the head of state in that particular, ceremony. And now, with what has happened, basically, the South African Supreme Court of Appeal has said that the Lungu family has the rights to do with the remains of the former president as they wish. So they would then, if they want, bury in South Africa. But then there's also a conversation, since the rights have been retained to them, other people are asking questions as to whether they will bury
in South Africa,
in Zambia also.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is a statement or a position the family is yet to communicate. You've raised a very key point. According to the South African, court or court's process, when a matter leaves the High Court and is appealed, it gets to the Supreme Court of Appeal. But there's another court that is higher, which is the Constitutional Court. If the Zambian government decides to appeal this particular story, a number of things, this particular issue rather, a number of things can happen. I'm going to be placing a graphic just to show exactly what is going to happen. So this is pretty much what has happened. In purple there, this is what the court has done. In gold, I don't know if it's brown, is pretty much the family, and the one in red is what the government has lost. So now, the Supreme Court of Appeal has overturned the judgment that was given in 2025 in the Pretoria High Court. This judgment at that point gave power to the Zambian government, to repatriate the remains of the former president and bury here in Lusaka at Embassy Park. That is what that judgment, entailed. The previous ruling for the state, repatriation is cancelled. This is what the Supreme Court, means when it says, what it has said in its judgment today. Pretty much, that is cancelled. The legal control of the remains have now shifted. This now means that the control of these remains are now, with the family. So this is an interesting, state of affairs, Alfred.
Indeed, and when we look at the ones in gold, where we're saying family gains full burial control, just as Seid has put it, that the legal control has shifted, and entirely it means that Esalungu and family are set to decide the place and style of burial. In this case, it's up to the family to decide, as we've already put it, that whether they want to bury, the remains of Edgar Chagwa Lungu in South Africa or here in Zambia.
that also sparks a lot of conversation, knowing for sure that so far we already have 2 graves or open graves that we have, that in South Africa as well as here in Zambia. And also number 2, which is a burial can now proceed in either South Africa as per family wish, or the last one, which is end of 1 year diplomatic and legal deadlock side.
Yes. So now, in red, the government's appeal, this is where you had raised that point.
Yes.
Can the Zambian government, appeal this particular, decision? So now, according to the Constitutional Court in South Africa, that is the highest court, in the land, and the only avenue left to appeal a judgment handed down by the Supreme Court. However, an appeal to the Constitutional Court is not an automatic right. There is what is called the constitutional or public importance ground. To be heard, the Zambian government's, legal team would have to file a petition for leave to appeal, proving that the case either directly involves a constitutional matter or raises an arguable point of law of general public importance. Now, the challenge here is that because the Supreme Court of Appeal ruling focuses heavily on individual constitutional rights, specifically the widow's autonomous right to dignity and privacy under the South African Bill of Rights, the Constitutional Court may decide that the Supreme Court of Appeal applied the law correctly, and it may also refuse to hear the case. Now, if the Zambian government chooses to petition the Constitutional Court, they would likely seek an urgent interim order to keep the body in South Africa until the final court decides whether or not to take the case. If they choose not to appeal, or if the Constitutional Court rejects their application, the legal road ends completely and the family can proceed with the burial. So this pretty much means, Alfred, that the conversation may be over depending on what government is going to say today with regards this development that all of us are now looking at in the South African Supreme Court of Appeal.
And I think this is where we have to see whether government will stand on its ground, looking at, just in that clip that we did play, the Attorney General there did actually put it rightly that they'll go with what the courts are going to rule, and of course, if again they are going to appeal, meaning they'll be like backtracking on what they had said previously. So this is actually an interesting conversation that we should also be following keenly as this also unfolds. But that's what we're looking at this particular afternoon, that the Supreme Court of Appeal has ruled against the Zambian government in Lungu's body dispute.
If we were to go by what had happened last year following the High Court's decision to grant the Zambian government permission, or rather rights to bury or repatriate the body and bury in Zambia, this matter would have been done with a long time ago. But the family of the deceased felt that the law was not fairly applied, and that because there is no law in Zambia that gives permission, or rather removes the right from the family and grants that right to the state, even in the case of a former president. They made several arguments around that particular matter. So now that matter, had the family said, you know what, if this is what the court is saying, then let it be. The Zambian government would have gone ahead and buried here in Zambia last year. But then the family felt that was not, there was something that was not done rightly. And they felt that they needed a different court, a higher court, to listen to, their pleas. And successfully so, the Supreme Court of Appeal says, the government has not given any of sufficient proof that there's a law that exists that allows that a former president, can has to be buried in Zambia, but also that the former president's family has no say on the burial procession. So now that the family has the rights to bury. Another question.
So meaning they also have the right to decide who should attend, the funeral procession.
It is up to them. It is up to the family, unless, of course, a different conversation exists between the family and the Zambian government. Because as things stand, the family is now holding the cards, so to say. But they can still say, "We want our father, my husband,
yes,
our uncle, to be buried in Zambia." To be buried at the embassy park, if the Zambian government and the family can agree on that. But we don't want...
That's an exception of President Hakainde Hichilema being present at the funeral.
But they can also say that. So there are so many questions. Another question, however, Alfred, is when would this happen? Because Zambia currently is in campaign mode. If they decide to bury now, if they decide to bury in August, what are those, conversations and implications? There's also a question on whether they bury or decide to bury in South Africa. When can they do that? Are they going to do it now? Are they going to wait later? These are conversations that the family now has to have, probably has already had, and probably is definitely going to give a statement. All we can do is say what the courts have said at the moment. The government is yet to issue a statement, and we are yet to receive a statement as well from the family.
And what happens to one of the open graves?
So many things, eh?
Yeah,
so many questions that this story brings. But also, if you look at the duration that this case has lasted for, and not that it has come to a definitive end today, but if say it was to come to an end today, it would mean that this matter has been active for more than a year.
More than a year.
And we are just hopeful that something gives. Either the government says enough is enough. Let us allow the family as per what the court has decided today, or that there can actually exist a conversation between the family and the government now that the family has the cards. What say you on this conversation? We'd love to hear what your thoughts are. The government has had given a comment prior to today in the last appearance in court, and they said that they are going to respect what the court is going to decide. So let's have a listen to what you're thinking on this matter. You can have a say and call us and give us what is on your mind with regards to this particular conversation today. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bana Nkhonjera.
Good afternoon, Mr. Banda. How is Sinda?
Amakuto bangi na kuona mnyamata wanga ione kabula kwambiri mwanzo kama muone kabula ko.
Tamikida.
Okay.
Sabanda leo naparana na mavuto.
Ati bangi?
Leo naparana na mavuto leo.
Huyo atindani zina huyo. Niko ndo iwala sana.
Alfred.
Alfred, yes. Mnyamata waone kabula kwambiri mwepitilizani.
Ziko msabanda.
Ati gambeko pangani amalira nene. Apatiri mkampeni kuti namalira kuti tiri kuti kusaidi kwene ka ikuti kusaidi kwene tiriri vindu vinango tomakonda kuchita mavisa chirera dara yayi because ya maliro sembe anaikiwa bwino kuitezo kabila pache kuti munthu amene afunikwa ika maliro na president watu sembe anafumira upita pamene kucha kunyumba kakabana maja vantu bwino anyamalira kai nyamalira amatangwanika maliro yaliyonse mundaliyesa Nkhonjera amafa. Bati mmangazima ndi mwabanja paja mmayi wala uza aneba ndo kauze munthu ali kulusa kumtumira foto kuli malira Nkhonjera mwayi wa aneba so meaning vindu vinango ufu wati tizivitenga bwino wa Zambia wa nation ni muno Zambia na sima iona bwino yayi wazi vantu ambiri ikawaika pa mipando wama tuona kutika business mbise vantu maliro ni maliro tia dijite decide bwino takambisa bwino sema maliro laki wakalekale Koma malira zito pita kuma court. Malira zito malira bwanja. Please. Zambia, zikana respect. Zipasana ule mundaliyeta zikala nadanga yo yankulako osataka yankulako kumakapateno yankulo ipa yayi maliro yaya yalafika kuti anaichiwa kale kale komba unanikometi upita pamani kwina kulomba sasa ndugu na Alfred
ziko Mr. Banda, we appreciate. All right,
you're watching Conversations at 1 on Crown TV. Remember, we are now also live on the Azam decoder. We are channel 494 on the Azam platform. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Unfortunately, that line dropped. Hello, good afternoon. Goodness me, what is going on? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you. How are you?
Hello.
All right. How are you? What is your name and where are you calling us from?
Good afternoon. I'm Martin calling from within Lusaka.
All right, Martin, please go ahead and give us your thoughts on this topic.
Yes, I think this has been long overdue, and it's high time that we had to put Israel to rest. We had to put it and and make a sober decision, the president, and don't look at a cost that this has not come. The cost has come actually on the nation. So who is there? The nation has to compensate the Lungu family. It is not the UPND only, or maybe the president alone. It's the entire, a nation, taxpayers' money, your taxpayers' money, my taxpayers' money, that now has to be put to waste. Something that or just mutual understanding. So when people are talking about the issue of who should we blame, for me, the failure for Israel to be buried, the blame entirely has to be on the sitting head of state, because everything here is on him. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Martin, for your contribution. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Good afternoon, Alfred. This is Solomon from Toronto.
yes, Mr. Solomon.
Yes. Mr. Nkhonjera, how are you?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
All right, thank you. My submission is just maybe one or two.
Sure.
Mr. It's sad that the court has ruled that the body, I don't know where it will lay now and where it will be buried, and how it's going to be moved. It's sad that he'll be buried like an ordinary person without no military honor. That was the desire of this government. Now that I don't know how long it will take. I don't know if we need to be clarified. What were they seeking? They were seeking what the court has struck out is the government not to interfere.
Yeah.
Now, how about the other thing? So they remain the same.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Solomon, for
Solomon
that.
brings out another interesting conversation there.
Mr. Alec. Bueno Bwanji, Mr. Alec.
Then chinangu chenzi sikondana vantu tikalibona tizikambirana zabulo tikalibona concluding makanti zenangu vajationeramo unaona relationship yenzepo egalungu na government ilipo yenzeina so amene iyo makanti zenangu vaionapo waona so simsabwino so simsabwino kwa mtu yenda tendi zikonapo watu zikambirana zabulo wina akafa ni pressure hii waona so what next? Just maybe you can pass some now right way. Hasa tukaribu hii kama mchunganya bana wake. Mtukaribu hii kama mbona kitu. Wewe ni tani. Are you sure mwanzo vindu so mkamwe bonyoza. That's why vindu vinangu tazolonga teka magavana. Isa wa Zambia. Sabuleme kuti no ruling ezeyo ipa. Ija ruling wako ka justice. waona bakunka justice not zizuzana soa tendi zikala wantukirana kuchokera lero apa janti kapembe za bugula president wapeze mizi ya kuti wakambisana nao wa family polite kupemfa kutona ni wati vete son tizamvera son nizoona kidala kwa vitu vinala kwika tendi pembe uta umuntu tendi ike muja muni kulukire ngati pali pa mistake kwasira kuziche pesa kinakale bilo ziko mukobiri konje.
All right, ziko mukambiri for that contribution, Mr. Alec. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Yes, you are speaking to Bruce within the
The name again?
Bruce within the
Bruce, thank you very much.
Yes, my brother. First of all, my brother, we have nothing we can do as a country. Because us as a people, our wish was that to ban our former president here in our country.
All right.
But now the court have ruled. My appeal to the government is they must not go further to the Constitution Court, because the government still have an option to go to Constitution Court to appeal. Now I'm appealing that the government must just allow the conscience of the family and those who are dividing the family and those who are seeking the public office to become president in this country. If they tell the family to say, can you bury in South Africa, I think the government must just allow those people to do, because to keep the president long, this long, my brother, is not good. But only the conscience of the family and those who are in this country who are seeking the public office, their conscience must take them to know, to say, how are we going to tell the people in campaigning to say we have won to bury our former president out of this country? Thank you very much, my brother.
Right.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for that contribution. All right. Hello, good afternoon. Unfortunately, that line has dropped. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother Nkhonjera. Good afternoon, Chimba. Alfred.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes.
Yes. I think for me, I wanted this year to be buried in Zambia. Why? The reasons are very simple. That man was a Zambian, that man was a former president, that man, I think he deserved to be buried in Zambia. Anyway, these issues, they were under courts. The family decided what they wanted. For me, I think the government should not appeal. And again, looking at the way things are, as a country, I think this issue of hatred, I think it is supposed to be stopped, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't see serious issues for him not to be buried in Zambia. Let us learn to forgive one another. If we think that today I've offended Nkhonjera, I've offended Chimba, the best way is we forgive one another. The Bible says, forgive one another so that your Father in heaven can forgive you. What are we teaching our children? I submit. Good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much, Albert, for that contribution. Alfred?
Good afternoon. You're through to Conversations at 1.
Thank you very much, Albert.
Your name?
Hello, mbwino mwasweza bwanji.
Tasewenza bwana. Tuandani tumina kuti.
Mukamba na bambewe kukabwe.
Mr. Mbewe, yes. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, thank you. Ine chamine nizakamba hapo pali nkani. Nkani ya malilo yeveni yozivika. Malilo ni ya family. That's why kuchoka konso kutunzo kamba kuti aya malilo wasiliye ba family bazata decide ngati ni kushika kubweresa kuno ba family na bebe sibanga kambe kuti chentu shike out of country. 100% na bebe bazakamba chekuti yaende mu Zambia kifukwa ba Zambia abafunika baone pamene pazagona abandani ba president bao. So vonse hivi sembe ba government banamvela sembe ba president batu ba formers banavutike ntao yonse. kuyilangisa che 100% kuti lwenzo wavuta chabe twenzo kamba kuti iyayi ba family ba komkeni pamene bafuna but kunankala che kulimbikira kuti tufuna che ine nchite so no ino Zambia si ya muntu mmozi ise majority bakakamba kuti chentu chiteso ni kuvimvera pamene bafuna tifukwa mpamvu za maliro ni ba family si ba government yayi ndimo amene tuzibira so ba family na ba government apa ba government benzofuna cheba isevesa cheba inda ku family okay tunalakwa mungatulukulukireko tifukwa naye tufuna tukaoneko pamene bazakagona ba president batu ndiye contribution yanga iyo ziko mu msebenze bwino.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Wonkumbwa.
Good afternoon, my brother. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I've heard that the Supreme Court of South Africa has ruled in favor of the family of President Lungu.
Yes.
So that the government interfere. I agree. For now, I agree. Why do we elect government? We elected president and government to protect the interests of what? Of the state, of the public. So whatever government has done up to now, it was in the favor of the public and the interests of the state. Because in no way, a normal president, a president of law could have allowed the lawlessness to supersede or to proceed. Okay, over the interests of the public. So they have done whatever they have could, and Zambians have proved what kind of a government we have. So for now, I think they should let it go. Now we should learn a lesson as Zambians. Who should we be putting in the public office? Is it a person who can unite us in life and death, or someone who can divide us in life and death? We have seen. With the Republican president, I think President Lungu has been the most spacious of all the other presidents who divided this country in life. We saw what was happening, especially against President Hakainde Chilema, where even people were killed in his name, in Samantha and Joseph Kaunda. Not only that, Lawrence Banda was killed in full view of himself, President Lungu, in Kaoma. Okay? And now what have we seen? Inculcating even hatred in the minds of the family members, even in his death. Even dividing the nation in the death. So we should be learning a lesson now that whoever will be contesting the Republican presidency or MOP or councillor or council chair or mayor, we should know the real nationality of that person. If that person's nationality is not well known, please let us guard the interests of our nation, not to be putting people who are questionable. Once we see someone is taking us to say, immediately we should act. Look, today the country was divided in the life of President Chimba. Okay? Now it is even further being divided, even in death. And in fact, unfortunately, fellow Zambians who are seeking this republic are even in forefront of such. Please, let us protect the interests of this nation. Had it not been for Kaunda Bankumbula and the others, like Apwepwe, to fight for the unity we are enjoying today, this country wouldn't be what it is today. Okay, if we are not careful, one day this country will split as it was pre-colonial time. I thank you, my friend.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Nkhumba. We'll pick 2 more calls, and then we'll look at another part of this conversation, Alfred. There was a dissenting judgment by one of the judges. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. How are you? What is your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
This is Mr. Banda calling from Nuka Sama.
Mr. Banda, thank you for your call. Please go ahead and give us your contribution. Unfortunately, Mr. Banda's line has dropped. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. All right, something must be, wrong with the network today. Several calls keep dropping. Bueno mlibanje. Kono kulibweni. Africa.
Tiri bwino. Atuanda nzina mtumira kuti.
Okay. All right. Alfred, I did mention that there was a dissenting, judgment. One of the judges at the Supreme Court of appeal in South Africa did not agree with the rest of the judges. So there was a minority judgment. So now what happens is that there's a number of judges that sit, and not all of them, will agree with the position that the rest of the judges would give. So now let's have a look at what this particular judgment or dissenting judgment, the minority one, meaning there are more judges that sided with the arguments that were put up by the family as compared to those that looked at this in favor of the government. So now this is in summary what the minority judgment on this particular matter meant. All right. So pretty much what this judgment is saying is that the court today, had this been the judgment, would have upheld the earlier ruling by the High Court, and that would have meant that the repatriation agreement, which had been essentially agreed upon, because there was a program, if you remember, last year, which had even given details of where and how and the former president would be buried. It had put details of the body laying in state at Mulungushi, at Chifwema, then Mulungushi, then go back to Chifwema every day. So based on that agreement, this particular judge, his name is Judge Ja, all right, that is the name of the judge. Particularly, this would have meant that they would have followed through with that particular program. The recognition of national state funeral protocols would have been according to that program. There was going to be state funeral protocols that were going to be had, and also according to that program, President Hakainde Hichilema was going to receive foreign dignitaries for this particular funeral. There was also the wishes of the family in this case would have been overridden by national interest. If this judgment, which the dissenting, or the minority judgment was upheld, this could have meant that the family's wishes would have been outweighed by national, interest, but also that the burial would take place at Embassy Park here in Lusaka. And that the state-led burial at Embassy Park would mean that the funeral would be state-funded, and the state cost, it would be under the state cost, recovery. Pretty much, the government would fund the funeral and everything as was per that program. But that is not what the rest of the judges, felt. The rest of the judges felt what the if we can get to the other slide, director, and see what the rest of the judges have thought in this particular issue. So the rest of the judges, Alfred, is saying
yes. So yes, according to the judgment insights, is that it has been said that aside that High Court ruling and of course Supreme Court of Appeal overturns the 2025 Pretoria High Court decision, and of course the previous ruling for the state repatriation has been cancelled, and in this case the legal control has shifted to the family, and of course the family has gained full burial control, and meaning that Esther Lungu and the family have to decide the place and the style of burial. In this case, they are at liberty to decide whether they are going to go ahead to bury Israel in South Africa or here in Zambia. Bear in mind that also we have two open, graves as at stakes, and of course burial can now proceed in either South Africa as per family wish, or here in Zambia. An end of 1 year diplomatic as well as legal deadlock there. And when you come to government appeal, unlikely and limited is that Zambian government has lost legal right to dictate the barrier, and also the Constitutional Court appeal requires high legal threshold, and the probability of a successful state appeal is very low in this case. And just on that is that the key findings of the Supreme Court of Appeal is that the family autonomy means that the South African constitutional principles of dignity and privacy protect the rights of the next of kin, and no binding agreement means that the court rejected the state's argument that a final agreement for a state funeral had been reached. Lack of expert evidence. The Zambian government failed to prove that Zambian laws or protocols legally override a family's wishes. And when it comes to costs, say it is that the appeal is upheld with costs, meaning that the Zambian taxpayer will likely foot the bill for 2 counsel employed by the family.
All right, so that is what the judgment entails, and like I did mention, there was only one dissenting judgment, and this was by Judge Norman J.A., which could have meant that the earlier ruling by the High Court in Pretoria would take effect, and that the Zambian government would then repatriate the remains of the former president. But as things stand, the majority, judgment says, the family's wishes must be honored and must be respected. We're yet to hear what the government and the family has had to say on this, following this particular judgment, but the day is still young. I'm very certain that before the day ends, we are going to start getting information. We'll try to see with our sources in South Africa to see if we can get a statement from the family, and also maybe the family spokesperson here could give us that particular statement, and then we see what will happen. But also already our reporters have are trying to get comment from government. In this case, the government was being represented by the Attorney General, but you also remember that the Secretary to the Cabinet has been the one to make statements after these court cases are concluded. So we'll get to hear what government position is going to be. We can pick a couple of more calls, Alfred, this afternoon, and see here what your opinion is back home where you're watching us from. Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, thank you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Sam Konga calling you from Solezi.
The name again, sir?
Mr. Sam Konga calling you from Solezi.
Please go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to understand something. I'm a little bit confused because the South African court ruled in favor of the Zambian government, which they said concerning the public interest. Now, this time around, is the government of South Africa ruling in favor of the family.
Yes.
Now, national interest is supported by a constitution of our nation, which speaks to the format of state, given a dignified burial, also, and all sorts of things. But what is supporting the family wishes in order for them to be given favor? That's where I want to understand something. Because it's confusing me. Oh, we have been having confusions over the past presidents, like, this one must be better, and all sorts of things. But they came to a conclusion where they are put to rest at the end of back. They need to be given a 21, which is mandated for each and every president when he dies. But this is what is happening now. It's confusing me. Family wishes overriding now the national interest supported by our nation constitution. I'm getting surprised. I want to get something from you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that contribution. We will try to share what we have understood so far. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you.
All right. What is your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
I'm so happy calling you from Kasama.
All right. Thank you very much for that call. Please go ahead and give us your thoughts this afternoon.
Thank you so much. I think I like your program, and I must say there was a time when you hosted Sir George.
All right.
And he lamented terribly, especially on the issue of the law. I think where the problem is now is that the government of Zambia has been found wanting, and at the same time it has been caught napping. Because the Supreme Court, I think what they have brought out is that there is no law in our constitution, or there is no law that actually states clearly on how the head of state is supposed to be buried. And the lamentation by Sir George, which I concurred with, was that you can see the last August meeting, parliamentary debate which went on with the 77 or 78 bills which were pushed for. There wasn't any member of parliament, either from the executive or from the opposition, who thought about what was current. Because what was current was that the head of state was elected, and they should have pushed in a bit. And here we are now, fortunately. And we are laughing stock. I'm very disappointed with especially us as Zambians. What do we want? I think that's where the problem is. What do we want as Zambia? Thank you very much, Mr. Bonjeta.
All right. Thank you very much for that call from Kasama. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my lovely brothers.
Good afternoon. Thank you, sir. What is your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Martin Karaba calling from Karomo.
Mr. Kalaba, thank you for your call. Please go ahead.
That funeral should be granted a state funeral. That one worked as a president for so many years. They have got to deserve respect for it. Even the bad, or even people from other countries who come, how it should look like. And we are on countdown. This is 51 days from now. Those people who lose elections, people won't spare them. What they are doing.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for that contribution.
Okay.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Nkhonjera.
Good afternoon. Thank you. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very sad person, sad citizen.
All right. What is your name? Is this senior citizen?
I'm Sumakalanga Elvis, calling you from Luansha.
Mr. Sumakalanga, thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Allow me to comment over this sensitive issue.
Please go ahead.
It's so sad. It's so sad that we have reached this far. And considering the situation, the way things are in South Africa, I feel pity for the Lungu family. Even if they bury in South Africa, other things will follow later on. You can just see for yourself what is happening, what is currently happening in South Africa. Now, if at all somebody who has ruled the country for a long time, somebody whom we respected for a long time, now to be buried in a foreign nation, we don't know what will happen just there. So I feel pity for the family, and I even feel pity for those who are contemplating to say the government is at fault. This is all what I can say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elvis Kalanga, for that contribution. All right, you are watching the Conversations at One program on Crown TV. Remember, we come to you every day, every Monday to Friday at 13 hours, and we do get to have conversations on different issues that are making, national conversation. Today's topic has been, will the government respect the South African Supreme Court's, decision this morning. Today, the South African Supreme Court of Appeal has, granted the rights to the Lungus with regards the burial of the former president, that is the sixth president of the Republic of Zambia. There was a question that was asked. One of our callers has attempted, to answer that question earlier on. Our resident analyst, Mr. Joe Chomba, had said that the Zambian constitution does not have, a law that specifically spells out how a former president must be buried.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think the state, relied upon precedents of how former presidents in the past have been buried in this country, and they were advised, even in the Pretoria, High Court, that the Zambian government must in future consider creating a law which was going to, specifically spell out what this particular situation could mean should anything like this happen again in future. So now, this is what, in blue there, this is what the government's national interest argument was based on. They were saying that because the former president was a head of state, and he carried the head of state status, he deserved, to be buried in this country. Because this protocol and national honors are supposed to be given when a former president is being buried, he deserved a national, he deserved to be brought back to this country and to be buried and be given that, military honor. The cause of national interest, prevails. A lot of Zambians still feel that the former president was their president and must be buried in this country. So they were saying that because of that, the body must be brought back. So the initial High Court ruling upheld this view in August of 2025. But unfortunately, that has been cancelled. Fortunately now, for the family and for those many other Zambians that have felt this way, the court has says that the families has some autonomy. Their fundamental, human dignity that needs to be accorded to the family, the widow, who must have control, over burial arrangements, and that it must also have autonomy of the rights, rather the decision to make where they're going to bury, how they're going to bury, who is going to be present, all of those things. And also that the South African constitution, through its Bill of Rights, protects this particular, arrangement, especially when dealing with individuals. It is so strong in how it deals with these, with these issues. It is very particular in this particular, arrangement. Now, the family retains full legal authority. They can have a private burial in South Africa if they wish, if they so wish. That is what the Supreme Court of Appeals, decision as at now means, according to our understanding. Alfred, it's been a great conversation. Very sad story, however, because we've been going back and forth for over a year now. But hopefully we get to see some sort of conclusion to this impasse.
Hopefully so, and understanding that the legal battle itself is over. But as you say, the day is still young. We're yet to see, and we as Crown TV will keep you abreast with latest information regarding this. As we understand that also the national conversation on this matter has just begun, and the question still, stands: where does this leave state protocol versus family wishes? And these are conversations that you should also continue on various platforms on Crown TV social media handles. Let's have these conversations going as we proceed.
Yes. For you, in case you're just catching this program, this is what the court has found, today. Director, if you can have that last line.
the first slide, the family autonomy, the South African Constitution, constitutional principles of dignity and privacy protect rights of the next of kin. That is what this decision means, and because the South African Constitution is what is being used to interpret this particular issue, this has been highly relied upon. There is no binding agreement. The court has rejected the state's argument that a final agreement for a state funeral had been reached. If you remember, when the two parties were making arguments in court a couple of days ago, there was an argument that there was a draft. It was a draft. It was not agreed. It was not agreed. The state lawyer said it was implied that there was an agreement by virtue of them having, corresponded to that particular draft. But then the court has found that there was no binding agreement. Lack of expert evidence is another position. The Zambian government failed to prove that Zambian laws or protocols legally override a family's wishes. It is not there in our constitution, according to this. In as much as there's been precedent, it is not there. And finally, the cost. The appeal has been upheld with costs, meaning that the Zambian taxpayer is likely going to foot the bill for the two counsels employed by the family. This afternoon, we have heard from you, and we wish to have more conversations with you. Join us later on in the night for Spotlight. My name is Seid Nkhonjera on behalf of my colleague Alfred Chimba and the entire Conversations at One team. We wish you a great afternoon.